Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. It's January 13th, 2026. And at the end of last year in December, we had Janine Stallard. She was talking about trees and their healing properties and the resin in particular. And we're going to expand on that topic today with a part two with her partner, Mathew Pruitt, the owner of Pruitt's Tree Resin Ministries. And we're going to speak to the healing effects, the healing properties in tree resin, the components. And we're also going to hear about Matthew's story, which is an incredible one. Um, I can relate to him on that level because when you've been through a kind of war that is in the field that you operate in, and you realize when you get to the other side that you have something beautiful to offer, and the knowledge needs to be clear and clean. And Matthew's got integrity with his partner, Janine, and it's very much an honor for me to bring them on to my medical meeting. So, welcome, both of you. Thank you, Matthew, for being here. Thank you,
You're
Janine.
so awesome, Dean. Thank you.
Yeah.
So can
So,
we start by bringing some clarification here? The trees show us when the new year is, and this is not the new year, my friend. This is
please.
the
Yeah.
Gregorian calendar new year
Okay.
that man has, in his infinite lust for
Complexity.
power and um, greed, has chosen to try to control time, space, and matter,
Hmm.
which can only be controlled by the creator. And we didn't create that, so we can't control it. We don't own it. But new life is in the spring, around April, there's actually 13 months, not 12, woman's cycle's 28 days, 28, and then, times 13. Uh, anyway,
So
you
that,
do the
well,
math.
yeah, we're um, so I should say s- disconnected from our natural cycle that, and you're giving me a reminder, of course, but it's important to understand the relationship that we have and how we apply our own rhythm to the cycle
Mhm.
of not only our diet, which I just, for those that don't know, I give radio shows every week on Republic Broadcasting Network, and last week was about the rhythm of diet, the
Mm.
dietary rhythm. And it's every Wednesday. It's called Your Health and Mind. And Michael Storm and I, we have this show where I'm basically, as a public service, highlighting different aspects of health. And that very thing came up, the cycle of diet, right? And our rhythm. When it's good time to, like winter right now, it's good to have cabbages and potatoes and these, carrots and things that are root vegetables, versus spring where you have dandelion sprouts, sprouts and these sort. But anyway, I
Right.
won't get into that too much. But you have something to say about that with the trees and this its cycle. So expound on that a little bit for us, please.
Well, in the spring, you get the buds start popping out on the trees, and the blossoms come out, and the new leaves come out, and everything starts the cycle over.
Mm.
And then in the summer is the growing season, the abundance season. Everything's abundant, and then in the fall, everything is transitioning from the abundance into the harvest, the storing, the preparation for the time, the rest time, the cleansing time of the winter.
Hmm.
Um, so
So
everything has a season. It's all a cycle. Energy is a cycle. Electricity. It's all light. Everything is a cycle.
right, in the
It is
winter
a
time,
natural vibration.
natural light. Okay, so that is built into the trees, what we would call healing um, healing substances, right? The phylum and the xylem, the phloem, all the parts of the tree, the conifers and the needles. And in particular, of course, your focus has been the tree resin. But would you please talk about the layers of, because you can eat slippery elm bark, for example, right? You can eat the part if in times of famine, that was actually a food source, as I recall, in some of my studies years ago. So, can you talk about the types of trees that are your focus and the healing properties built into it and the
Well,
different
your
levels?
coniferous trees are the ones that have the beneficial resins, most generally. Now, I mean, there are other trees that do. I mean, you can take fruit trees, which are not coniferous at all,
Mhm.
and they have resins, and those can be utilized, used, and they have good properties. And so,
So
not
is
exclusively coniferous, but for the purpose and application that we're after, it's coniferous trees that
It's,
we're getting the resins from.
we find their primary benefit, the coniferous, they're the highest in the anti-inflammatory and the antifungal, antimicrobial. It's a trifecta there.
And
and
a lot of that comes from the terpenes.
Wait, right. And can I interject something here? Just when you were talking about cycles and seasons and the rest period, like we are in winter now. Remember the other day, I was like, look at these apple trees, they look dead. And you're like, they're not dead, they're resting. They're getting their strength right now, they're renewing. And that just made me think of there is so much life to a tree inside and underneath that we do not see. From the outside, it looks dead. And we know pines, conifers, they're not shed, they don't shed. So, but they can
And that's
still
what they
look,
do. They don't shed all at once. They don't go into dormancy. They don't hibernate.
yeah, yeah, like down
They shed. All your trees shed. Your coniferous trees shed their needles constantly, more in certain times of the year, depending on what climate they're in.
Mm.
But they shed their needles continuously.
So you'll see it in a more thinned out, not so beautiful looking, you'll see it in a different state where maybe it doesn't look so healthy, right? It looks beat up and tired and worn and very much like what our bodies can go through. We have our cycles and rhythms too. There's a beautiful parallel between us and the trees. But anyway, it got me thinking of the invisible stuff going on, what we don't see that's below ground and in the bark within. And from my research, there is a huge communication with the mycelium network and what produces the types of terpene and quality of terpene in the water that's then carried up into the wood and transformed by the sun into and becomes resin, right?
Mhm.
And so I think all of this is going on in the winter time. We know that plants that are more beat up or have survived harsh conditions are going to be your more medicinal. And so when we see it go through these winter cycles, it's giving us the most beautiful, it is brewing strong concentrations of medicine that later on we can take and use. And that's I'll let you kind of take that on from there. There's so many different chemical properties, phytonutrients in the resin. I can get into parts of that, but
So we get into we return back to the beginning of what we started talking about, that we've been removed from the natural cycle and the natural way of things. I have found that when I plant a seed, I put it in my mouth. I get my DNA in that seed, and that seed grows what my body needs. And so, if we weren't removed, we would be planting these trees, and thousands of years later, our generations would be eating from them, and they would be providing exactly what we need. A mother, when she breastfeeds her child, a little bit of the saliva gets back into her nipple, and her body absorbs that, and then her body makes exactly what that child needs. And if she takes one child, puts on one breast, and another child puts on the other breast, the two will be different. They will be specifically to that child of what it needs, exactly what it needs. And the plants are the same way. The healthiest I've ever been was when I was living off of my land and I was growing almost either growing, raising, or gathering everything I ate, basically, other than a few staples. Um, but that was the most healthy I was, and that was because I was taking and composting my manure. My urine was fermented and used on the gardens. Um, the manure I used on the trees, I would compost it down and then use it under the trees. Um, and so my food was literally tailored for my needs.
I see.
And that was the healthiest I've ever been.
So what you're
So,
talking about is a kind of, and just to see if I clarify, the Chinese call it natural signature, where they have a particular unique observe look about the tree, the look about the health of the tree. And Janine, of course, you're mentioning the cycle that when it looks like it's not living, but the what's going on underneath it is brewing. I would think the word you were using. And what you're talking about is adding to the characteristics of the soil, right? The environment that you're living in becomes more and more part of your, as you said, DNA, the coding process, right?
Yeah,
And
reconnecting.
reconnecting, and that gave me some insight when I heard about this years ago. With what do you do with the 500-year-old tree that you just came upon that was way beyond, so as our ancestors of many generations, right? What happens to our DNA when you're taking a heart pocket, which you do, tree resin, and introduce that back into your body versus something that's more recent? Oh, and there's Janine with her answer. Okay.
It's really cool to see. This is our with the olive oil. But I mean, just to watch, I mean, this is how it is out of the tree. We don't do anything to it. We store it. We get the
So,
pure form.
so is it tapped like you would if you were to get maple syrup? Is it the same process?
no,
No, it's
no, that would be a sap resin, which is it's still beneficial. It still has terpenes in it. It's just it has this many terpenes compared to that many terpenes
okay.
with an
Okay.
ancient resin. Um, uh, there will come the day when um, the sap resins are going to be all we're going to have. We're basically there now, except for the fact that we have a stockpile that we've had for generations now. Um, if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be able to even get enough for our own use, much
Yeah.
less.
There is no
Uh,
provider to call and I need to resupply my inventory. This is labor intensive experience, generations passed down knowing how to find and harvest and really do this in this way.
The true
it's
salt of
it
the
kind of
earth. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's an old story about an old man that was he was a mechanic, and this ship come into port. Its engine was having troubles and wasn't working properly, and they the company that owned the ship had mechanics from all over the world come and try to figure out what's going on with this thing. They couldn't figure it out. Nobody could figure it out. And they got this old man. He brought this little lunchbox full of tools. He comes in there and he taps and works around and does a few things, looks at things, and he gets out his hammer. And I think Dean's the one that told me this story. And he taps in a certain place on the engine, and all of a sudden everything's fine and it works great. And he goes away and he sends the company a bill. And for there weren't any parts to bill for. So he itemized it out as uh, labor was, one day's worth of labor, a few $100s, whatever it was. Uh, and then knowledge of knowing what and how to do this, the diagnostic of it, the um, figure it
Lifetime,
out,
lifetime
was
of
the
knowledge.
knowledge, a lifetime of knowledge, and he sent them a $10,000 bill for that. Well, that's a multi-million-dollar engine that they're working on, so he saved them millions of dollars, but they squawked about this $10,000 because that's what's that?
Right, right.
Well,
You're
that's the
never
knowledge of knowing how to do it.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
great. That's a little bit about what the tree offers too. I mean, it's over
yeah.
all these years of it
Yep.
brewing and expansion,
Exposure
contraction.
to every
Yeah,
whatnot,
yeah,
variety.
So these heart pockets are in the middle of the heart of the tree, and they've been protected. They don't get um, uh, the poisons that they're spraying on us. They don't. None of that affects it because it's many feet of tree around it. This wood protecting it, insulating it. Um, and in order to form, it was all taken up and digested and broke down and processed by the tree and the ground, the mycelium. So it doesn't have the contamination that newer resins, sap resins, would have because it doesn't come from the surface, it comes from deep down in the earth. Kind of like the difference in between rain runoff water and new water, which is primary water that comes out of the
mhm.
deep out of the ground. That primary water is pure. That's the best water we can get. Um, Whereas the surface water is going to have more contaminants and things in it. So it's kind of the same principle. If you want the best, you get the stuff from the heart.
So
Uh,
I can't help but think about this being an ancient knowledge, that this
sure.
somehow the Romans, the Sumerians,
Marion.
Egyptians,
Every
Yeah,
culture way beyond that,
yeah,
every culture that we have studied used tree resins.
yeah.
Everyone, all around the world, doesn't matter where you go, they still used
It
it.
was their staple medicine for everything, for dental health, for infection, for wounds, for their tents, for waterproofing, for their shoes, for, all, and I think they must have known of,
That's how they kept their teepees, their hides, their teepees from rotting and leaking on them. They
and
would seal them with resins.
they must have known of these different to like we grade the resins. Matthew was the first in his family to grade them. Like you said, even the ones that are commercially made that are kind of trashed, in my opinion, they go through all this processing. At the end, they're still benefit. They're sold and used, but how much more benefit would you have if you had the pure, unadulterated,
mhm.
raw, right, unprocessed? And I think the ancients must have kind of had a sense of that because they would use it for, waterproofing and these kind of less medicinal things. And then they had their medicine man tools, the ones that were, um,
And
So
if we
let
get down to it here, what we're doing is we're taking something that has the energy, the vibration, the light from thousands of years ago before it was so tainted
mhm.
and compromised, poisoned, destroyed, changed, altered, all these things that are going on in the world now. Before all of that is when this resin was created, and it's been stored perfectly in this um, sterile, pristine environment in the heart of the tree
It's like a
yeah,
for
womb
thousands
of
of
yeah,
years.
sorts, right? I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
protected
And
by
so and
Mother
so
Earth.
we're going back in time before all of this, and we're resetting. That's I think that's part of the healing property here is that it's a reset. it's a
Bring,
reprogramming. You take a computer that's got viruses, so-called viruses, and all this stuff going on that it's not working. It's all cluttered up, and you take and you clean it, you wipe it, and then you reboot it. Well, could it be that the resin is rebooting us?
What you're talking about are frequencies that are with the EMFs, with the microwave frequencies, with cell phones, all these are not natural frequencies. And what you're
Mhm.
saying is one of our ways of resetting our DNA to what we're born of, right? Out of the frequencies, whether it be the Schumann frequency, whether it be the frequency of the sun, the whatever it is that we're connected with, the tree is a kind of uh, I would call it a kind of adaptogenic of
it is,
sorts.
yeah,
That
it very
because what
much is.
you're trying to achieve here is a relationship with your outer world, with the inner world that gives you um, that recognition of the substances that are part of, and you call it the immune system of the plant. I'd like to say that your top priority is that it's the immune system if you're looking to kill an infection. But what if you're already healthy? What do you do if you're using the resin with a target, and do you take breaks? And I wanted to talk to you about the seasonal uses of it in a practical way, and also the dose of it and the types of resin that you're offering, because there's a
So,
variety of different strategies that we have. For in my case, I'm doing a parasite cleanse. I'm doing it right now, in fact. And I feel like this is something that we should do. I do a fast twice a year. I do it spring equinox, fall equinox, and that's a kind of reset for my own body's ability to energetically shift out of the season. And that's the weakest type of part of the your immune system is during the spring, when you're going to transition from cold to warm and from hot to cool. And that in itself is a kind of a memory that we have, right? That's part of our cellular um, programming, if you will. So I know I threw a lot at you right there, but if you could sort of give us a a definition in your mind how the tree resin is selectively chosen and how it can be applied for in terms of dosage that you're offering, because I this is potent stuff. I mean, I was taking it and I'm like, wow, Janine was right. 1, 2, and 3 drops, and
A lot.
I'm
Well,
going, I'm basically staggering a little bit, going, my gosh, this has got the terpenes in it. Obviously, this is the most obvious thing when you smell it. You're going, woo, this is pretty amazing. But in that case, just please, if you would, expound on your experience on what best suits us for beginner's use and or use for therapy.
well, everyone is unique. There is no one size fits all in anything in life. We are all very unique. We're similar, but similar is not the same. Um, so I don't go into all this sick or disease thing. It's simply detox. So uh, you're doing um, a cleansing uh, twice a year on the equinoxes. Um, Basically, all you're doing is facilitating the natural cleansing that happens, because that's what happens in nature. If you look at nature, nature is showing us the cycle that we should be following. If we will just look around us at nature, at what Creator has made for us, Father, Mother, Creator, Source, however you want to articulate it, Basically, it's source. It's where we come from. Um, if we will just look around us, it shows us the natural cycles. It shows us what to do to be abundant. Um, we are the only creature on earth that wars against itself, that separates itself from its natural place, from its natural cycle. Everything else is in balance with nature's cycle, with truth, with light, with what is. We battle against that. We go and we put all these foreign synthetic agents into our bodies, and that takes away the natural flow, the natural cycle of things, and creates this artificial, like AI, artificial intelligence, artificial um, health, artificial vibration, light, whatever you want to call it. It's like an LED light compared to the sun. Which one would you rather sit under? Which one feels good? That artificial light doesn't feel good. If you have any self-awareness, one will realize that when you go out into the sun, it feels good.
Yeah.
So
When you get underneath these artificial lights, it doesn't feel good.
It's like we were saying, that tuning back in. I think, Dean, you and we've worked with enough patients and have lived enough experience to know when you develop these protocols and you're choosing a product, there has to be a level of tuning in, just like the animals we watch in nature. How does it know that what it's about to eat is poison or not? Smells it, takes a little nibble, it kind of senses. You tune into what you need. Everything is a matter of dosage, timing, what state and cycle you're currently in, and intention.
Application.
Yeah, intention of the application. So we have blends that are stronger, like our super cocoa resin is the stronger of the blends, where we put just a little bit of oil carrier so it's not so sticky. And that is going to be more therapeutic because it's going to give you a more potent dose. The higher the potency doesn't always mean the better you'll be, right? That's just going to give your body more agent to facilitate action reaction if that's what you want. So for you doing a parasite cleanse, if you're symptomatic, whether it's external or internal symptom, then the higher potency could be good for you, may be needed at the time. Then we have angel resin, that's what we brought here today, which has the high polyphenol. Olive oils, it's kind of got like almost a one in sometimes like a greenish tinge because of the olive oil is so beautiful. Um, that is a lower concentration of the resin that I use for more of a maintenance. But in some ways, that can also be more therapeutic if your target is such. If you want I would say more of the anti-inflammatory property, I would go with the angel resin. If you want more of the kill the infection, kill the fungus, the kill agent or the pain reliever, I would go with the super cocoa resin. Um,
And do you go by body weight too? I know that that's probably a factor.
no, I mean, you can, but to be honest, I titrate everyone. It is so wild west in terms of what people tolerate. The big 300,
Just a little while.
yeah, the big 300-pound men. Oh, I can only handle one drop, these teeny children, they could take a whole bunch. Who knows? So because it's adaptive to what you need and the deficiency. In
Well,
Chinese this is a warming product. And I don't know if it's is it drying? Because it does have tannins.
it can be, but there again, it's like
It's
a lot of
a
things.
beautiful balance, but it's
many
also
things.
moist. It is just your most adaptive
It's
to what they need.
It's how you apply it, what the intent was, what the target was,
Yeah.
and specifically the individual that it's being used for, because one individual will receive it this way and another one receives it this way.
Yeah.
Um, it can be whatever is needed. However, we have to use discernment and wisdom if let's say we're using it for a detox. We're using it to kill off parasites. Well, anytime you have the die-off of parasites or the release of toxins in your system, you have to have a binder to now bind that up so that it can be carried out of the body, right?
Mhm.
So if you don't have activated charcoal, red
Phase
mint clay,
two,
bentonite clay,
phase two support.
if you don't have some kind of binder to bind these toxins and die off of parasites and carry them out of the body, then you're going to have to use less and make that a slower process so that it isn't so abrupt. Because most people, um, if they have discomfort, uh, things are out of the norm or whatever, they don't handle that so well. Some people go, oh, well, I don't feel so good, but that's good because that means that I'm detoxing really good right now. Uh, some people get a fever and they're like, oh my gosh, I got a fever. I got to do something about it. Me, I'm like, oh, well, my body's doing its
It's
job.
on
I'm
now.
like, it's on now.
Do you
Uh,
have experience with those that are uh Lori asked about hormones, and you talk about fever and about or day sweats, with the menopause women, and going through this. Is this would you consider this, because it is in Chinese medicine? You're right; it does have the warming properties to it. But there's this kind of, like you had mentioned earlier, of course, the adaptogenic. If it's too high, it'll bring it down. If it's too low, it'll bring it up.
Yeah.
That kind of
It's
thing.
that universal balancer.
Balancer. So this is my about the detoxification in particular and bringing in binders. We've got, psyllium husk. We've got binding herbs that are useful. Calcium bentonite clay, diatomaceous earth with the diatoms in there that slice and dice parasites too, but it's negatively charged. And I would assume that with the resin that you're dealing with a combination of both negative and positive charge in this, but I'm not sure of that. So is that is
Yeah,
it?
you must. We did some lab studies on the negative ions. We did the studies with SciTech where they
Mhm.
used the GDV
Oh,
to
right, right.
analyze it. And it's light. I mean, I think that's on the website. The light was already at baseline, was up there, was above mid-range, and then we put it through, we imprint grounding frequencies to it. I have a process, through Dr. Kit Taylor,
Sure.
where we can expose it to frequencies, which basically brings it back to life as if it were back into the tree, the same grounding frequencies, and
Hmm.
it's sustainable. And that brought it up even more, which allows then better absorption. It's the release of the electrons. So you've got a more active, easily absorbable product. Um,
Do you
yeah.
do that with all your resin?
Um, we have batches. Right now, the technology is being researched, so I didn't have access to it for a little bit, but I do again. So we're considering it. Right now, we have it on a required, or you can request,
Requested.
Needed.
yeah, requested basis.
Got it.
Required.
So if I'm
One of the
reading, go ahead, please, Matthew. Go ahead. Go.
one of the things that I don't want to forget to mention here is that this stuff never really, now this has oils in it. So because it has seed oils that are processed, they're pressed, that type thing. Even though they're cold pressed, they're done the best way that they can, but they've been processed. our resins are basically not processed. They're processed, but they're processed by nature. I use nature to do everything rather than we used to. Grandpa did everything fast, easy, cheap. You know, that's all he cared about. Um, I have went back to nature with everything. I just back to nature.
The ultimate
Um,
purist.
Pure resin. If you know anything about honey, honey that's in its comb, in its natural place, it'll be good for thousands of years. It won't even crystallize. It'll stay good for thousands of years
Right. The Egyptian
unless that
honey
comb is
is one
damaged.
example.
If it's
Yeah.
damaged just a little tiny bit, it'll crystallize. It'll still be good, but it'll crystallize. Well, resin is the same way. It's very similar to honey.
So,
If inside the tree, sometimes it will crystallize just like honey.
oh, okay.
Uh, Other times it won't. If it's if it's deeper in the tree and it's in a completely sealed pocket that has been perfectly encombed, where it's not getting any of the moisture from the lymph of the tree, from the water and nutrients that's taken up from the roots. Um, if it's in that perfect pocket, it will stay liquid for thousands of years. I've cut down snags that were dead for 20 years and found a pocket of perfect resin
What does it look
in it.
like? Does it just look like a bowl of molasses? I mean, what is the what?
Um, More like a bowl of gold, like a pocket of gold. So it's not always exactly the same. I've found heart pockets that have a bark-like um, growing around inside the pocket.
Hmm.
Um, I've found them where it's crystallized on the outside and then the inside is nice and runny and beautiful. Um, there's a lot of variables. It's not just
So you're saying that this is like a kind of mineralization, where when it loses its oil and water.
well, okay, so you have to look at the components of the resin. The resin is extremely high in plant sulfur. And if you know anything about plant sulfur, MSM, it crystallizes, right?
Hmm.
Well, I um, I theorize that the crystallization has to do with the plant sulfurs in there and that same process that happens um, with MSM, with plant sulfur, that if you put it in water, it becomes liquid. You dry it out, it becomes crystals again,
It's like salt. It's kind of like it has the same characteristic.
like
Mhm.
salt. Yes,
Okay.
water, it becomes liquid. So when you have your resins, it's oil, it's terpene based. Okay, it's oil based instead of water based. So this is like the oil based version of your um, your elements. Okay, so
Well, can I hold on a second, Matthew?
resin and mixes with oil because it's oil based.
Uh-huh.
The only in nature, your oils and your waters mix naturally. You can't unnaturally mix them. In other words, without having some binding agent like a castile soap or something, you can't get oil to mix with water and stay mixed. It separates. It naturally just separates. It won't stay mixed. But in nature, it does. It's a phenomenon.
In
It's
the
it's
in the
it's
tree,
proof
it's both.
that yeah, it's a water based, but it's also an oil based, which
So
is very
it's a digestion of sorts. Is that what you're calling it?
That's a
more of
interesting term.
amalgamation. It's a a blending of things that otherwise wouldn't be. It's nature showing us that that it's
It's light
far beyond us.
force, light power at its best, right?
Yeah, how does the
This is
light mix
light.
with the darkness? How does
This is light
you
energy
know,
doing this.
how
So,
does the
Keep
life mix with the death? Well, it's cycle.
well, this was getting to my question I had about with oils getting rancid when they're processed. And with
Yeah.
this natural processing that you're talking about, it's it doesn't get rancid, it gets crystallized.
Right.
Yeah, resin
So
itself is a preserving agent. Resin
yeah,
on its own is good forever.
Yeah, yeah,
Once we
okay.
mix it with the oil, we don't really know to put an expiration date on it. It really depends on how did you store it, how did you treat it.
well, and this the specific batch of olive oil or coconut oil or other carrier oil that was used,
Right.
uh, it's not consistent. It's not all the same. It's similar, but it's not the
We
same.
get different batches.
So one batch might be good on the shelf for a year. Another one might be good for 2 years. It's whereas the resin, if it's stored in glass, and this goes back to the way we collect it, if I find any in the future, and there is no comparison, by the way, to a fresh Heart Pocket. If you get fresh Heart Pocket resin and you feel it, you smell it, you taste it, you apply it to your body, it is a whole nother level.
It's
Um,
like oily water. And then as it hits the air and over time, then it gets stickier and stickier and stickier.
it's the difference in between a fruit that is picked fresh, ripe off the tree, and a fruit that has been picked a little green and then had wax or something put on to make it last a little longer and then put in a store. It may still be organic and natural, and it may have come from the same tree,
It's just
but
a different
it's
animal.
it's not the same.
And you can
That
feel
one that
it. Yeah.
came ripe off the tree at its perfection is perfect only for a very short time once you take it off the tree,
Okay.
because that life force that light starts to fade.
And there's something we believe the
It
relationship
transitions.
with sunlight, why we keep it in clear jars rather than the cobalt or some kind of tinted glass,
Yeah, yeah.
is that this interaction, it's beneficial and I think almost necessary for the resin. The sunlight
The sun charges it.
is good for it. Yeah,
It's an
it's a negative
activator.
ion charge.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we
So,
keep it in the clear. It's beautiful, and I think the sun is good for it.
I used
so
to think that light would break it down. Um, And I think artificial light definitely will. And if it's exposed to light and air at the same time, then of course it's going to oxidize or
right.
crystallize, break
Gas
down,
off.
all
Yeah.
of that. Where if you have it in an airtight, where it's only the sun that it's being exposed to, then it absorbs that energy and stores it. And then I believe my theory is that it releases that energy into our body.
Now we were
Our
doing a
bodies
test.
suck that up.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's enhancing the sunlight's properties, just like you have with photosynthesis, when you have the plant absorbing the sunlight and converting it into energy with the plant. So
And think about it. That's what happened here.
I see.
This is a combination of the soil and um, and the light and the water and the air. Think about it. It's taking the water, which has elements. It's taking the light, which has elements, and the air, land, air, water law. Um, it takes all of that and combines that and produces this.
So the improving delivery would be saying that when you get these resins, let's say you get the angel resin, do you stick it by your window? I mean, what do you do? Do you put it?
No, I mean,
I
just
mean,
you don't have to be afraid, when it gets sunlight on it. I keep it just at room temperature. you
Just
know,
okay.
yeah, to keep it, if you put it in the fridge, it will, the olive oil will harden, it'll become solid. So then you'll have to warm it back up. So
Now
we
what?
just keep it at room temperature.
Well, what you're talking about, it overlaps into shilajit too, and most everybody in my group, I think everybody does, knows what the shilajit properties are, and that it's a salt, but it's high in fulvic acid and humic. It's got some humic acids in there, but 81 more or less the minerals that are in there. It's got all kinds of, manganese. It's got copper. It's got everything. It's even got uridium in it.
Yeah.
And so when I
Yeah.
think about the oils that are in tree resin, and I've been doing them at this, I take the tree resin and I take the shilajit, which is a kind of booster. All right,
Mhm.
because it boosts the oxygen mechanism in our body is enhanced by shilajit. There's all kinds of
And the
depletion.
resin. They both do that.
They both see now that was my question. And
Okay.
when we hold,
Okay. So
go ahead.
so the element that does that in the body is the MSM, the plant sulfur. That is the element that allows the oxygen to pass through the barrier. Every cell in your body has a membrane, a barrier around it. And in order for oxygen to pass through that barrier to be absorbed by the cell, that element, natural plant sulfur, has to be present. If it's not there, it can't happen.
Right,
It
right.
breaks the cycle. And so by taking this, which is, by the way, where MSM, plant sulfur, comes from, is from resins,
Mm,
from coniferous resins. So uh, you're actually oxygenating the body by taking this, the same thing that
boosting the
Shilajit is doing.
delivery by penetration and what we would call respiration of the cell. Okay,
Yeah,
and that becomes a very unique component with the shilajit in the we put them didn't put them in like you do with the clear, but they were in a brown tinted container, and
Amber.
then there were
Yeah.
some that were in mason jars that were clear, and we found that the ones that were clear, there was like we had it at Dr. Pauling's work at 700, more or less 750 parts per million. We were seeing that it was increasing. It was going up 758,
I remember that. It was
762.
growing.
It was
Yeah.
growing in the clear jar.
It
yeah.
remembers the sunlight makes it think it's back in its mountain cliff, or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it thinks it's
Yeah.
back in its mother's womb, the tree, or it does something in that activation. It's the infinite wisdom of the universe. We just know it makes it better and it works.
So
Well,
I learned accidentally years ago. I had about a dozen bottles of resin that I had taken to the ranch, and a box full of them. And I had set them on a shelf out underneath the porch, and we had a real bad windstorm and rain, and it got the box wet. And I just took and set them out on the shelf there, and it had a fiberglass roof awning, and but it got morning sun and afternoon and evening sun every day, all day long, and they just kind of got left there, and they were there for years. And one day I just thought I was going to use them for because they've been out in the light and stuff, and I just thought, well, I'll just end up using it for my leather care or for one of the animals or something. And well, something happened, and I got hurt or something. I needed some resin. Well, it's there, and I grabbed a bottle and I used it, and it really was nice. And I thought, wow, that resin's it must have been there for 10 years.
Oh my word, only you.
It's been sitting there for 10 years. It's all dusty. The jar is just, I mean, you almost can't see through it, but the resin's still good. I opened it up and I poured it on, and it worked really good. And wow, that is amazing. It's been sitting there all these years in the sun, and it's still that good.
I'll be
I'm
darned.
all, that's
Yeah.
interesting. So I shared some of that with some other people and I used some of it on my animals and it worked really good. And I thought, maybe we have been mistaken about this. And then when Janine and I got together and she started using um, her technology on it, and then we had the labs that she works with test it, then it proved what I had found to be the case, that it actually increases the healing properties, the value, the benefit that we get from it. Um,
Like attracts like.
yeah,
We know that
it's light,
the
and where
Shilajit
there's light, there can be darkness.
yeah, the Shilajit naturally tests very high, higher than any substance we've seen on the GDB as far as electron, which is a glow, it's a light output. And the resin was similar to that. I think products in that category, there's a relationship with sunlight, with natural light, like attracts light, where they're on the same level and it's like going home. It's putting it back into a homeostasis where it can maintain its activity.
So, so with this knowledge, okay, we have ways of enhancing its effect with activation. I'm doing it with Shilajit with Accutone. You're doing it with Kit's work, Dr. Taylor's work in resonant frequencies that are being brought up
Single digit, low level,
single digit, low,
cyclical.
up to 9 hertz. I had 7 to 9 in that range. But in any case, you've got um, a technique to make that happen. You've got the pure substance that we can get on the planet. You've got sources of it. You've got storage. You've got it in the cocoa resin, the angel resin, and you've got other varieties of this. Um, my question comes into two parts. One is that we as doctors are dealing with diseased patients. Okay, I know that's not the term you're using, Mathew, but we think of it in that manner. Okay, arthrosclerosis, all right, arthritis.
Yeah,
We we
we have to
think
categorize and describe them somehow.
we have to visualize what the patient, how they see themselves. Okay, it isn't just us
Well,
how
see
we
that
see.
now that's interesting because that's the problem right there is how
Yeah,
they are seeing themselves, how they're receiving it. They're speaking this into existence. They're accepting this as existence. So they say, I have cancer. No, you don't have cancer. Your body is struggling with the condition known as
Or
cancer,
I am
yeah.
blah blah.
or it's struggling with the parasites and the uh, the product of that is cancer. Um, so
We'll get to
it's
your questions, Lloyd.
it's offer and acceptance. If we don't accept that we're sick, we're not sick. If we accept that we're just detoxing, now we've actually found the light.
Well,
It's the finding the good in it rather than the bad.
which
It's the intention that one creates by um, by finding the benefit, the good, the light rather than the darkness, rather than the destruction, the new life. Um, when you take a tree, some people think, oh, the tree died, and you know, such a bad thing, such a sad thing, or somebody passes and oh, somebody died. No, they didn't die, they transitioned. Their flesh is being recycled now, and it'll carry on the cycle, and so will their spirit, their soul, it's all a cycle. Um, so it's how we perceive it, it's what we do with it. It's nature offers us this. We can take that and create death with it or life with it. We're the creators.
yeah,
How do we perceive it?
yeah.
What do we do with it?
And anyone with chronic illness, it's so important to maintain that neutral, curious, you know, we all slip into anger, self-pity, fear, whatever, these negative things that can, to use the word again, to brew the disease, the diseased process. But coming out of it, just like with the staying in that vibration of the earth, these healing agents, we work with it. When we are in the I'm going to throw a tantrum, nothing will work for me, I have already identified we battle against our medicines. You know, you and I have seen this plenty of times in labs. There's two kinds of patients. But yeah, when you're dealing with the chronically ill or very ill, you've got a complex case. I always titrate. I would start with maybe the angel resin because it's got the polyphenols, which will work with the other antioxidants in the resin. Most diseases are root causes oxidative stress. You need these antioxidants to regulate hormone metabolism, your nervous system, right, to get everything flowing properly. So I would probably start with the angel resin and start at 1 drop and titrate to tolerance. And we've had people take 20, 30 drop, like a lot of it. I'm one of them.
I drank a whole bottle.
Yeah.
You're
Titrate to
gung ho, Matthew.
tolerance.
It's not easy. It's hard to get down, but it's it can be done.
Because therapeutic dosages are really an unknown territory. The complexities of your metabolism, your liver, right? There's all these different things. So I just say always titrate, tune in, learn your body signals of too much. And typically with resin, too much is going to be a Herxheimer.
Okay, that was going to be my next question, and
it's going to be diarrhea, headache, some sort of detox fashion Herxheimer.
Okay.
Or a worsening, or just a worsening of existing symptom. Back it down. We're just pushing a little too hard here. From my research, okay, there's different categories of the structure of resin. Like Matthew was saying, we've got the sulfur containing elements. You've got the terpenes and the terpene acids. And then there's plant sterols, beta cytosterol, camphosterol. There's tons of plant sterols. And then you have your phytoandrogens. And there's probably more to it that we don't know. I know there's more to it that we don't know, but this is what we do know. So all of these are antioxidants at the surface, which help correct metabolism and balance immune response. That's your biggest benefit from the product. Pain reliever, healer. It's helping your immune system do what it's supposed to do and not run amok in your body, balancing that autoimmune equation, and the pain relief aspect, helping something to heal. And the pinene and the different terpenes in there help then the body to heal by reducing the inflammatory response. What I've seen is that diterpenic acid, there's a high level of the diterpenic acid, which has a twofold process. It works with the beta cytosterol and these plant sterols in the breakdown of cholesterol. And it's got a primary function in helping your body convert cholesterol to pregnenolone, which then is pregnenolone is the master hormone for everything else, primarily cortisol. That's your deep nourishment to the adrenals, to your stress level. A lot of people will take just 1 or 2 drops of super cocoa resin as adrenal support. So that's one element, but then it's like having your cake and eating it too. Resins naturally, like pine pollen and the pine needles, are known as like, oh, it'll boost your sex drive. It'll take away hot flashes because it's got androgenic properties, which means it will support estrogen and testosterone. But it's without side effect because it's got the natural beta cytosterol, and these plant sterols are literally what block and inhibit the conversion to harmful estrogens, DHTs, the run amok version of androgens that create hair loss, acne, mood swings, right? all of those things are your metabolism responding to oxidative stress and inappropriately making a conversion. It's like a wrong turn at the intersection. Antioxidants keep you in your path. These plant sterols keep you in your path. So resin is the most unique, interesting combination that you've got the precursors to the estrogen, testosterone, and it's naturally already got the sterols in there so it can convert properly. You tracking me?
Most certainly.
So
Okay, please continue. Finish up.
yeah, there's a lot more. So years ago, there was a study on pine bark on pycnogenol, which is a famous, right, product. And they compared it to HRT, to the horse urine, to Premarin for hot flashes. And it did better than the Premarin in the study. And that's really interesting. If it, like we talked about in our last interview, if it's in the bark, if it's on what, like, let's equate it, my skin. If it's on my skin, I'm going to find an element in my blood. If it's on the bark, it's in the resin, and in the resin to a much higher concentration. So these are scientific answers to what Grandpa knew, to what Mathew has seen again and again of, well, it just works. Grandma used it. Put it in your vagina, take it in your, I mean, it just works for menopause, hot flashes. I mean, guys can use it too. It just works, right? Well, here's why. So, I mean, it's wonderful. It's an estrogen rebalancer. It's used for like yeast infections, vaginal dryness, hot flashes, hormone balance. Use it with your HRT. Use it instead of HRT. Find out what your body needs and wants. What is your level of deficiency and how do you fill the gap?
And sometimes we have to suffer through or experience the transition period, because
Yeah,
when you're coming from one place to another, there's that transition
like the
time
seasons.
that, like the seasons, that can be a little uncomfortable. You know, when you're going from spring, when everything's just perfect, it's not too warm, it's not too cold, and then all of a sudden, wham, into summer, and it's 110 degrees, and I can't breathe. That's a transition period. When fall comes, you're going from that hot, to all of a sudden now it's freezing at night and it's 100 degrees during the day, and it's that transition period can be uncomfortable. This goes to something. I don't say good morning because I'm not in morning. I say grand rising because I'm always rising.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, you don't fall in love, you rise
So
in love.
it's
I got you.
yeah.
There you go. Janine, this hormone topic is a big one. In fact, that
Yeah.
one was Lori asked the question about imbalances. I think she got her answer out of that.
It's the antioxidants.
It's the
It's the plant sterols that help to balance it out. All hormone imbalance in my experience is oxidative stress. Yeah.
And because it's an adaptogen, like even if my symptoms are all gone, right? Like my symptoms are all great, but I want to make sure that I'm keeping that balance in my hormones. So it should work with anybody, any
Yeah.
person, that to get them where they need to be. And that,
Yes, and you
yeah.
could continue to use it as maintenance, either just a super tiny dose internal that you take in your mouth,
Mhm.
or just
Put it in your
get
belly
it,
button.
yeah, on the skin. I like
your
to rub
wrist,
it
on
into
your-
my lymph nodes every morning. I do the gui shot, and I like to
Yeah.
just get it in there,
Okay.
and it's just, and I use it that way as my
which
maintenance.
one do you
Uh-huh.
use? The cocoa
She
resin?
uses it everywhere. She covers her body in it daily. She is the resin queen. Like,
Nice.
she uses gallons of this stuff, and I'm not
It's a good thing you're
joking.
in the business.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do with that.
So
So
are
my
you?
latest thing,
We couldn't afford the resin
I
that she
guess,
uses.
so there
I
is.
thought I used a lot.
When we make the product, there is a bonding process. Mathew has a proprietary, his method of bonding the oil with the resin in a special way. So it now is one.
Without affecting it, without altering it, without destroying any of its natural
Totally
properties or altering,
preserving
changing
it.
them. It simply takes two things like a carrier oil and the resin and bonds it to where it's actually one rather than, even though it may look like it's together, if you were to look at it under a microscope, you would see that it's not.
separate.
It appears to be together. Now, this here is actually unbonded. I had to warm this up by the heater there because it was sitting in the car, and overnight it actually became cloudy. It wasn't solid, but it became cloudy, and that's
Separated.
because it's not bonded. Once it's bonded, it doesn't do that so easily. If you put it in the freezer, it would, but that's, it has to be a very far extreme to be able to make that bonding um, uh, compromised. Um, so there are unnatural ways that we can bond it, but that destroys certain properties of the resin. That alters it. It limits it.
We
It takes
never,
away its.
never heat it like commercial companies will just boil it.
Yeah, all the resins you can get on the market,
They're all
except for this resin,
boiled.
are all pressed. And if you know anything about high pressure
Doterra,
pressing, it
whatever.
creates heat.
You're buying white fur, you're buying these fur essential oils and whatnot.
Those are cooked down and distilled.
All cooked, diluted, and yet they still have a benefit. They're still good. I don't want to down them at all, but it's super diluted. It's not even a fraction of what these resins can do. And I've been experimenting lately with the just pure resin. I love it on my skin. I just put it everywhere. And I can feel like it's doing something. There's something, it's like bonding with me.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then I'll put on oils and everything else. And so we each kind of have our own. You just have to see how you like it. But yeah, clinically, always titrate, find the therapeutic dose because everyone is different.
So,
And you can
what-
take it in a cocktail with other things.
so in the
Just
spring,
do
when
not
the
mix pharmaceuticals.
Because it does act, because of its high conversion, it's promoting the conversion to pregnenolone. I feel like that's probably how it competes with steroids. Patients that have used it with a steroid have Herxheimered. So take it away if someone's on like a prednisone or cortisone,
Yeah.
Okay, so the amount of people that have had a negative reaction, or what most people would consider a negative reaction,
It'd be like
itchy rash or
honor, yeah.
hives or something like that, blisters even, those are a limited basis. You can count them on about a dozen cases over 60, 70
Yeah.
years.
Mm.
Millions of people have used it, and only a handful of people have had any kind of reaction. And there's two things in common: heavy steroids and heavy antibiotics.
Mm.
And they were all on both.
Mm.
And I think that's because of how their steroids and antibiotics work. They basically wipe out the immune system. They start everything over. They're destroying where the resin doesn't actually destroy, it builds. And so it's a house divided against itself. It's something that can't coexist. It's a cycle that can't cycle.
Well, we've seen it in patients that
It's like a flat line.
certain,
Dead.
chronic illness and medication overuse, and there's all these different things. They're upside down. Their metabolism is literally upside down. They're flipped, is
Mhm.
how I refer to it. And
Like
that's where
autoimmune.
yes,
Yeah.
same, yeah. Autoimmune would be one component of the many complexities going on here, where you really have to take baby doses. Like in lab, we'll use pregnenolone as a precursor, the hormone, right, as an anti-inflammatory, as a alternative to prednisone. We'll do that sometimes. And in these patients, I mean, dose can go up to 100, 150 milligrams. We'll start at like 5 milligram and they'll be reactive. Like, whoa, they're just in a state of, they're upside down. And so I would think the same with the resin, it would be useful to them, but that's where, okay, if they're in that state, we start external. How about a foot massage, right? Do some reflexology. and you just kind of, or patch test it, and you see their tolerance, and then you gradually go up and up, the same as you would any other natural treatment, right? You would just titrate in and determine what they can handle.
Janine, what do you see with all of the women you're treating? Like what starts to change? And is there an order to it as their hormones get in?
Yeah, there is. I mean, there's always anomalies to this, but typically the first thing is your mood.
Uh-huh.
Mood and your energy. You're just starting to feel better in that level. It's mood, energy, adrenal,
Mm-hmm.
kind of. And then maybe after the first month, once you're into the second and third month on using it, that's when you begin to see the more of the sex hormone changes, whether it's hot flashes or your period or your sex drive, things that are more sex hormone related, then begin to balance out. The first month is going to be mood and mood energy.
Okay, great. And then what about when we were talking about detox, is this working with the spike protein?
Yes, absolutely. I've had this in play with other items. That's what I was saying. You can make like a cocktail. You mix it with your other agents. Because of the high antioxidants, it's the antioxidant families that can get at the mitochondria, which is what you want for a detox at that level.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Dean, how about you? But I have found that people need to cycle through different antioxidants, the same like you would different detox agents. So, like, I may not have somebody use the resin every day forever. I'd say, give it 3 months and we're going to switch. Now we're going to go over to something else, to the PQQ, glutathione, right? Do that for 3 months, then you switch back. Or, I'll cycle it when we're doing these types of detox, because spike protein can take a long time. Everybody's depending on their load.
Mhm.
Well, the
Yeah.
antibodies that are made because the body's been coded to make S protein, that's how we're using the testing to see how loaded the body is with spike protein infection
Yeah.
or COVID syndrome, we're calling it. And in the case where we're having the body detoxify from these things, there's a group that say you can't detoxify. The body's been coded and that's the end of it. And then there's the other group that says that DNA wants to re-establish itself in its proper form. It's a kind of DNA memory that it
Mhm.
wants to achieve, even though it's been attacked with this invasive uh, S protein. Um, it did it take hold? Excuse me. Did it take
Okay.
hold and start coating the gut and the bifidobacterium just drops out of sight, or if your S protein coated cellular uh, coating is so significant that your antibodies go way off the chart. You're dealing with multiple factors that have been shown to, because the S protein itself is highly inflammatory. It's a very destructive protein. It also
Mhm.
deactivates P53 gene. We've seen that in Sloan's Kettering research back in 2022. I believe it was discovered at that early stage in beginning of 2022 that this was deactivating P53, which is the apoptosis function in the body. And that was why we were seeing such an explosion of cancers across the board in all
And see,
ages, young
resin
young
has a
people.
lot of antioxidants to reverse that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the mechanism. And also we found that allicin in the ingredient in garlic is a kind
Oh,
of
really?
deactivator.
Huh.
And that's the only thing we've found that has proven to have an impact on S
You,
protein
you know
balance.
what is very high in natural plant sulfur?
Garlic.
Garlic.
Oh, that's true
Yes.
too. That's true. Right. Yeah. So that's similar property
And
there.
even the onion kingdom, if you will, but our garlic's about the highest. So
Yeah.
this has got, we're going to have to get some more questions from the group on details regarding this. The one you were holding though, I'm looking at the anointing oil. Which one is that one? That's straight.
This is the angel resin.
That's
Oh,
the
the
angel.
anointing oil, that's we made special for you. That's whole flower
Yes, yes, yes.
and
And
oil with the resin. Talk
you,
about a nice little,
I'm
that's great.
honored. Thank
That's good
you.
for muscles and stuff.
Yeah, but and when you put it on topically, say for massage, do you identify um lung five for
Mm.
coughing or urinary bladder 40 for low back pain? I mean, do you use any of the acupuncture points as a, because I knew someone, this is going way back. I knew someone years ago back in the 90s that was using um, the Young Living oil. They were
Hmm.
using them on acupuncture points. And instead of needles, they were just experimenting with this.
How cool.
And so what they did is she would come up to me and she would take like cedar oil or something and she would stick it on gallbladder 20. She'd just come up from behind me and she'd take a finger, and go, Dean. And so she'd go,
Yeah. I
here's, you
love it.
got,
That's what I would
I'm
do.
I'm putting this on you. And I go, okay, what are you putting on me now? She'd put on acupuncture points the
Yeah.
Young Living oils that are aromatic, of course, and they have each of them have their own properties that are unique. But have you experimented like with massage? You pointed it out. Do you put them on points that are um, of a significant uh, effect?
We do. I mean, without really knowing it, I don't, that's not my field. I only know a little bit of it. So I do in my field, and we've got a lot of like Reiki masters and massage therapists that buy this. I haven't talked with them to say, hi, how do you, but I know it's done. And
I haven't studied into that enough to be a master at that. My lower back hurts me. I put some oil on there. My elbow hurts me. I put some on there. My neck hurts me. I put some on there. Something bothers me. I put some on there and it goes away.
Do you cover it
Mhm.
with like a cheesecloth or
No, you
something?
just rub it in, just rub it in,
Yeah,
Just rub it
just
just
in.
work it
rub it on.
in. Yeah.
Well, this is most interesting. If Leanne, if you have any questions, now's the time. But what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get questions from the group on
Hmm.
what their applications are, and then I'll resend the with the recording the offer that you're making. Um, did you guys have fun? I had a great time.
Oh,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
Did you have
One more
questions?
that I'm wondering about is like growing pains. I've had a couple times this year, this weird thing where my whole left leg goes just pain in the middle of the night.
Oh,
It felt like, when I was little, when it was growing pains.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Magnesium, maybe.
A mineral. Yeah. I mean, it
it
could,
could
is it
be,
almost like a like a mild
yeah,
Charlie horse, like a
like a no
Mathew
severe
Jenine?
child or like I couldn't even get up to go get the pickle juice. The pickle juice solves it, so I guess it is a mineral
Uh-huh.
thing,
Yeah, and
but it
stomach, your pH, getting your gut to an acid state. You could be something in your pH that's off.
okay.
Yeah, you could in the night rub the resin on it. If you got the pure resin, I think, put
Yeah.
it with a little oil so you can rub it.
And the
Rub
more
that
you
on
rub it
there.
in, the better,
Yeah.
because you're getting that resin passes through the blood-brain barrier. By the way, there's only,
Oh,
there's
that's
only a
interesting.
few components that can do that, and resin is one of them. And I hypothesize that it's the plant sulfur in there that allows that to happen
Hmm.
So are you
in
saying it has a
junction with the
DMSO
terpenes, because
function
you've
or?
got terpenes and then you've got the plant sulfur. The sulfur is what brings things into the cells, right? So then if you got the terpenes on top, so that I think that is a combination that allows that cycle, that process to happen. I mean, I don't have the scientific
Yeah.
proof of it, but this is what I find to to be how it works.
Okay.
That I can explain it because, without doing, hundreds of millions of dollars of studies,
Yeah.
we're all we're doing is observing the the facts, um, or establishing the facts, the truth, by becoming aware of certain things happening. We look out in nature how things work, and you know that
So,
shows us what's going on.
question, Matthew.
Yes,
So DMSO, right? I mean,
it
we've
comes
known.
from resin. It's there you go. There it is in its natural form.
That's part of the carrier in it, I think, how it's able to pass in.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you're appreciated here in the group. We'll definitely pass on the questions to you, and we may be able to do this later on in the year as a kind of follow up. Sometimes I'll have two guests, but in any case, this was great knowledge, and it puts us back to our roots. I mean, I can't tell you how important in Chinese medicine they don't throw the stuff out. I mean, it's our American culture is that, oh, we got a better antibiotic, or we got a better,
Let's synthesize
newer,
it.
greater, better antidepressant, and we're going
Yeah.
to change one smart molecule by one change, and then we've got a whole new thing to sell you. I mean,
Sell you. There you go. It's commerce. That's where the
yes.
whole thing is. It's all about commerce.
Right, right. So, so,
Yep.
so we're the, if you don't mind me saying so, we're the cutting edge, and we have to we have to hold the space for people. I've learned over the years, as much as the challenges have come at me, I'm still here. For some reason, I've still got, you know, things to share, and you've got some unique stories to share too. I didn't get into this. I was hoping to, but we don't have time now. Your story is incredible, but what I'd like to do is reserve,
We
because
don't have enough time.
we don't have enough
I
time.
could be here for months.
Yeah, well, we're going to
Summer.
go to the summer because we're in winter now, and I'd like to see the changes in the summertime, what you've gone through, and we'll address that. The unique uh, individual, uh, both stories and applications, anything that's new on your product line, because we're going to be going from the coldest time to the warmest time, and
Yeah.
I want to hear your take on what's most appropriate, because we're seasonal people. In fact, in China, just as a little side note, they tune their instruments to the season. So
Oh, that's so amazing.
right now, it would be the key of D sharp. All right.
Really? That's an
Yes.
odd key.
Yes.
Okay.
And in the summer, it's C sharp.
Huh.
Okay. And then you have a frequency that corresponds with the season. And we've shown this. It's all in the pentatonic scale. It's in my book, Accutone. And it talks about how these frequencies
Oh, really?
it's sacred geometry. We're talking about the seasonal shifts of our body going through cycles. And the Chinese say that if you go through these cycles, it's healthy. That if you go through the transitions of winter to spring, spring to summer, summer to late summer to fall, that's healthy, because you're giving the cells all the memory that it needs to go through its proper internal heartbeat, its internal rhythm. Okay, so in any case, I'll ask you in the summertime, one of the months like July or August, or June or July, August, one of those months, to come back, so you give us your feedback on that time and what's useful. But right now we've got to conclude. We're actually overtime, but it was worth it.
We always do.
You know,
We could just go on. We
I
love
know, I know, it's great. So I'll get the questions from the group. I'll send them off to you. And again, big hug from Colorado. Thank you very
Yes.
much. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
See
Bye.
you.
Bye
All
for now.
right,
Grand
bye.